Welcome, lords and ladies, kings and queens, my noble court. I am Lord Master Leonis, your humble scribe and archivist, curator of this fine establishment. The establishment being the Cosmic Archive, which I forgot to say because I'm flustered, apparently, or something. I am pretty ecstatic. I'm going to be reacting today to another one of the lovely Lady Wasabi's Louisverse videos. The three preceding this were Breathe, Numb, and One Sky, and I have reacts to all three of those. Biggest thing I got out of those is they do a beautiful job of showing Lady Wasabi's own journey through loss and numbness and finally acceptance by a community who loves her for who she is and empathizes with her loss and her struggles. Story-wise, we didn't really see a lot of direct tales being told, but we did see a lot of characters being shown. The Red Veil being the primary location where all of them are. The Red Veil is a city that is sort of an amalgam of a whole bunch of other places where heroes and adventurers and people from all across the various realms and universes, I guess, have kind of come into one place that is it's sort of the city where those who are forsaken go, where they've all lost something, and this is where they end up. At least that was the gist that I got out of it. I'm actually gonna briefly go down over here to the... Okay, what does it say? In the fading light of the Akatsuki shogunate, where honor and illusion walk side by side, Rui stood as both geisha and samurai, a rare balance of grace and war. A geisha does not simply entertain, she preserves culture, emotion, and memory. A samurai does not simply fight, she protects, endures, and carries the weight of others. Rui was both. She became a general, she led. Rui was revered Geisha Samurai general who fought to protect her homeland. She won the war, but lost everything that mattered. Set within an epic Japanese-inspired musical landscape, her story is told through music, movement, and emotion, tracing the fracture between who she was and what remains. Haunted by the burden of surviving, she is drawn towards a distant torii gate, guided by a mysterious figure who sees her when no one else does. Who is he? That answer lies deep within the Red Veil. No, sorry, that answer lies deeper within the Red Veil. A world where broken heroes are not lost, they are gathered. For all the heroes who carry victories that feel like failure. No cameos here because this is an OC, but special participation of the great Senpai Brows. This video has been sitting with me for a while. I started it before Numb and One Sky, but could not finish it back then. Maybe because I wanted to show you some more of the world, so I built the world first. But I feel like it is now time to finish it. AI moves fast, and if you wait too long, your work starts to feel outdated. I end up reworking a lot of this because the tools evolve so quickly. For fellow AI creators, it is a balance. Release on time, but keep improving as you go. Don't wait forever trying to make something perfect. Release it, grow with it, let it evolve you. If you notice inconsistencies, that's why. This piece carries both where I started and where I am now. Coming back to this now feels different, and this video is a bit heavy for me to make emotionally as well. Thank you for being here. This community means more to me than I can explain. Always, Lady Wasabi. So this video is not going to be like the other ones. The other ones were kind of general world... I guess world building would be accurate. But it's more like a showcase, like a world showcase. This one is going to be very specific to one character. It is a character that exists in the world of the Louisverse, and the story of this one character. And I'm really excited to see that because I think we haven't seen like a heavy story focus video from her yet, and I'm interested to see the story of the world she's building. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and watch this, and as usual, we'll watch it through once with very little very little interaction, and then I'll kind of break it down afterwards. All right, so let's get into it. Ooh. Very different animation style.
I marched 10,000 miles to hold the line, to keep the Emperor's golden banners high. I marched 10,000 miles to hold the line, to keep the Emperor's golden banners high. I gave my steel to lands that weren't mine, and pledged my life beneath their distant sky. They called me shield, they called me blade, the savior of a kingdom far away. But while I fought the ultimate price must pay, the home I left was turning into gray. I won the war, I broke the final gate. I turned to bring the glory to my kin, but I arrived a single breath too late to find the fire and let the silence end. Mark well, the blossom in the fire. Crusading home for king's desire. The fan is torn, the blade is red. I've come to wake the quiet dead. The country lives, the border stands. The ashes, all that's in your I painted my face in the white of the moon, while my village was burning in the heat of the noon. I bowed to the lords and I poured out the tea, while the waves of the fire were swallowing me. The empire is safe and the borders are drawn, but the house of my father is ash in the dawn.
Man, this is
No signs to see, no Lord to say, no bells to ring. The peace you say, our brain is built on my
that can't be coincidence.
family's blood. It's your stomach. It's your Mark well, mark well. The world is at peace because of my steel now. Mark me. You have arrived at Red Vale.
Oh! That is a very emotional piece. So we saw that at the very end of One Sky, if I recall. So the One Sky or Numb, we saw at the very, very end, we saw her face. So I want to say it was at the end of Numb, but I might be wrong about that. It might be at the end of One Sky. We saw Rui's face, and we heard that line, "You have arrived at Red Vale." So that's almost a teaser to this. Man, that's a sad story. The very basis of that, it kind of feels almost a little bit like the Gladiator. How he was like the greatest general. Now, there's a difference in that story between this one and that one, I think, which is that the Gladiator was hated by the new rulers because he was deemed too dangerous, whereas this one doesn't seem like that. That's a common concern, though, among people, is wondering, especially when you lose a lot. You see this a lot in fiction, too. You'll end up with people who are like, I fought and I gave so much of myself, and then when I come home, my home is ash. What did I get out of all of this? And the worst part about that is in many of those stories, the response from those they served is oftentimes, what do you mean, what did you get out of this? Why are you being greedy? You served and did your duty. That is what you are to do. But in the real world, there is an obligation. People forget about it all the time, but rulers have an obligation to those ruled, and especially to those who serve the rulers, because the way it's supposed to work is people are the sovereign. The rulers rule at the leisure of the people. And a lot of folks don't understand that because the basic concept is that people are kind of sheep and they're very easy to control en masse. And they are. It's just what it is. It's in our DNA. And so rulers tend to view themselves as they are the ones being served by the people. But at the end of the day, you can only push people so far. When a people decides they no longer wish to be ruled by a particular ruler, there's not a lot a ruler can do to prevent their downfall at that point. It's been that way throughout all of human history. Usually, that'll be spurred by someone else who wants to rule, but not always. And at the end of the day, if the people come together unified, they'll always be mightier than the rulers. So that's the balance. The people allow a ruler to rule. The ruler has to remember that he's a servant of the people. Those who serve, who choose to come from the people, from what is ostensibly the highest class of being, in that logic line, and lower themselves to serve the servant, they are owed something by the rulers that they serve. I hope all of that made sense. But it might have come off as kind of gobbledygook. So I apologize if it does. This was a very moving piece. Very short, but very moving. So let's go through it again, and we'll kind of break apart some story beats and some visuals. So the war ended at dawn, the sun never rose again. This, I would imagine, isn't literal. The war ended at dawn, but for her, the sun never rose again. This feels like a character that is emblematic of where Lady Wasabi was. She said in the description that coming back to this felt different now. And I don't know if she ever said it early, like back when she made Breathe and stuff, but she's saying in this one, the Red Veil is not a place where heroes are discarded, but where they are gathered. And I definitely feel like that also kind of touches on the idea of how Skybrows has been gathering people as well. I don't know how much of this was already intended before she met Skybrows or before she became part of the community, and how much of this has shifted since experiencing perhaps Dawn once again. So I am interested to see where that will go. Okay. Louisverse Archive. Timeline. Akatsuki Shogunate. Location. Otherworld, Edo, Japan. The Emperor's forces have claimed victory. The war is over. Warriors are celebrated. They are told to return home. She is a hero. She saved Otherworld Japan, and now she stands at the gate of her village. So I'm curious, now that we've watched through the whole video, first of all, this is all typed out in a very... I would say this reminds me almost of like World War II era typewriter. I'm curious if this is a missive given to the gentleman in the white shirt, who I think looks a lot like Skybrows. If this is a missive given to him, letting him know this is where to go. This is where you will find our newest charge. This is a beautiful 2D that they're doing here at the very start. It'll shift to 3D shortly.
I marched 10,000 miles.
So now I want to point out that this was saying, so that's what this is what the text was saying now, is she was a general at the front line. She's one of the warriors. She has been honored and told to return home. When she returns home, she is now standing at the gate of her village. That's this thing here. She is standing at the gate of her village, and this is what she sees. Or possibly the gate is what we're seeing like here on the edge.
To hold the line. To keep the Emperor's golden banners high.
So she gets home. She doesn't get a party. She doesn't get extravagant welcome. She doesn't get all the things you would expect a warrior to get. Instead, she comes home to blood-soaked streets. Here in this shot, I really like this because we just saw all of that, but now we're seeing in her eyes reflected, and we see kind of lighting up her face here, that her village is on fire. So I'm kind of curious if this is maybe a jump back in time, that she arrived when everything is burning. Everyone's already dead when she got here. She could see that already. But she kind of just stood there and watched it because there was nothing else to do. Anything that could have been done to save anyone or anything when she arrived was already beyond possibility. And so here she is just kind of standing and watching it all happen. I like this detail of the blood coming down the sword here.
I marched 10,000 miles to hold the line, to keep the Emperor's gold.
Actually want to go back a
over the
moment.
line.
So we see that the warriors here look like they're decked out in pretty dark colored clothing, sort of blues, and we see in her own uniform itself, there's a lot of blues and golds. So I want to point that out because we saw also that the people who attacked the village were in red, so they might be an opposing nation and not someone sent by the emperor.
To keep the emperor's golden banners high.
I love this overlay where we're seeing the battle, almost like it's replaying in her mind as she's staring at her village burning.
I gave my steel to lands that weren't mine.
Is this the only part where she's holding two swords? Does she normally dual wield? Curious.
And pledged my
Also, I think this is important. She said, what is it? I gave my steel to lands that weren't mine. Actually, now that we see these guys she's fighting are in red, I'm more convinced that it is an enemy nation. An enemy nation who knew they were getting attacked, probably, and sought to act in psychological warfare against the Empire. Or, alternatively, because this has also happened in history, the bigger, mightier nation wins, and they defeat the military officially. But there is a group of people who, in their pride for their nation, are not willing to accept subjugation under this new country, under a new flag, under a new empire. So, rather than... and they don't believe in fleeing. A lot of the times they feel like running to another country as refugees is dishonorable. So rather than fleeing, what they'll do is they'll basically become terrorists. And they will attack as deeply and harshly as they can into the Empire's territory. These groups are almost always doomed to be rooted out and killed. But they will exist for a time. They will be treated as glorified bandits because they're more or less raiding and pillaging villages. But they see their actions as honorable because they are hurting or harming the empire that destroyed their home.
and pledged my life beneath their distant sky.
Which I bring up to point out that might be why a group of them attacked her village. Either they knew they were being attacked, and in their final battle they wanted to send out a detached force, which I think is more likely, probably, considering this is meant to be coming back from the final battle. The war is over. Come home and see your families.
They called me shield, they called me blade, the savior of a kingdom far away.
So she also said that she pledged her life beneath a distant sky. They call her shield, they call her blade, the savior of a kingdom far away. This is a common lament of soldiers who serve large empires, especially if their home gets hit. There's a feeling of, I went out and I fought in a battlefield hundreds or thousands of miles away from my home for, in the name of a king, in the name of an emperor. I did it because I believed it was my duty. I believed it was right. I believed it was righteous. But while I was out doing that, my home was ransacked. And that's really easy way to lead into okay, now what? I gave of myself for some land far away, and my land, my home is gone for it. Now what? What do you even, despite the fact that you're in emotional turmoil because your family and friends are dead, but also just where do you go at that point? What do you do? Which just adds another layer of torment and pain on top of the pain of losing those close to you.
But while I fought the ultimate Christmas page, the home I left was turning into gray. I won the war, I broke the final gate. I turned to bring the glory to my kin.
That is also so this is I turn to bring the glory to my king in the CCs. I don't think that's what she's actually saying. I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe she actually the words I'm hearing her say are I turn to bring the glory to my kin. And that's a very noble thing to want to do is I went out and I did something amazing. I did something great. I did something glorious. And then you sort of let your family bask in that glow with you. You aren't just, in this story, she's Rui of the North, but she wouldn't have just been Rui, the great general. She would have been Rui of this family or Rui of this village, which she can't be now because that village is gone. That family is gone. That's why she's Rui of the North. She's not Rui of any place anymore. See, this is what I mean. Like, these are ostensibly, these are the soldiers who attacked the, her village. We saw she was fighting soldiers in red armor like this before. We also know that she described the Emperor's banners as golden, and these are not golden. They're red. So I assume this is the enemy that the Empire was fighting. And I'm thinking about it now, too, is this could be that Rui was what's the word I'm looking for? Thinking about it as though this would have happened during the final battle. It's, I think based on what we hear later, it must have happened shortly before she arrived home. But I was just thinking about Rui might have been deployed for a lengthy period of time. And if that was so, this could have happened at any time during the deployment. But she actually says something later that I think debunks that. In fact, right then, but I arrived a single breath too late, and we saw the images of her watching her home burning. So even if we take this image to be what it looked like when she arrived, there's still fire burning. Even if it's low, like this was not, she wasn't here weeks after the fact. She was here almost right after they left. She was here she was on their heels more or less. Yeah, and so again we see these are the guys attacking the village. The silence what? I want to hear that again. I can't quite tell. I don't think the CC got that one right either. My world has blossomed into fire. Who waited there for a king's desire? I don't know if that's the right words either. But I think this is more towards that lament of like, I did all this for a king that in the end couldn't defend my home. Line hits. That line hits. I've come to wake the quiet dead. That's interesting. I might take note of this. This is going to be me doing my lore master over analysis. These are cherry blossoms. This would mean that this attack on her home Actually, it means a little bit more than that. The war ends in spring. That is actually a romantic way to end a war. It would make sense that the emperor and the court would see this as like a perfect, beautiful time to end the war. But that also means that this time associated with like beauty and rebirth through the cherry blossoms is also when her village burned, and it will never mean the same thing ever again to her. Ashes all that's in your head. What does it say here? The country? I can't tell.
Quiet death.
The country lives something, but ashes are all that's in your ashes is all that's in your head, because it's all you can see. This is also, I wanna point out, she likely did all of this by herself. This is not fun work. This is so much effort. The fact that she has to see all of what was done, and then she has to basically just go and step up, pick up these dead bodies, drag them to an area where they can be placed, cover them in drapes. All of this is very rough work to do. Bodies are not light. Bodies are not fun to move around. When the human body dies, it defecates. Everything about this job that she would have to do sucks ass. And I don't know how long she waited to do this. I feel like I probably wouldn't have even been able to do it in the first day, but I'm not a trained warrior. So I don't know. But I just want to point out this is an awful thing to be the only one able to do.
I painted my face in the white of the moon while my village was burning in the heat of the noon.
So now I'm curious about this line. I painted my face in the white of the moon while my village was burning in the heat of the noon. I'm curious about this one because it makes it sound like she didn't go straight to her village, but that she probably, as the general, she came home, but she went to the imperial capital first, put on the robe of the geisha, performed before the court as part of the celebration for winning, and then went home after that. And that's when she found her village burning. Correct me if I am wrong. It sounds like this might be what the story is. She is what I just said, that she won the war, went to the imperial capital for performance, and then went to her village afterwards.
I bowed to the lords and I poured out the tea while the waves of the fire were swallowing me. The empire is safe and the borders are drawn, but the house of my father is ash in the dark.
That is I don't know, that hits hard too. The empire is safe and the borders are drawn, meaning officially there's no reason anything bad should happen now. We've accomplished the goal. We won victory. But the house of my father is ash and all gone. So, yeah. Basically, this is a better way to put it, I think. This is a tale of someone who, by all metrics, this was someone who performed their duty and did it better than almost anyone else. They were amazing at what they did. They were amazing at their duty, They accomplished their goals. They set out to do objectives and they completed those objectives. They saved their empire. They saved their kingdom. They saved their world, or so it would appear. But the enemy was a sore loser. So the enemy attacked her home. It's not even necessary that the enemy knew that that was her home. It might have been. It might have been that they knew that and they sought to commit psychological damage against her. But it might have just been that her home was a target they could get to, or that it was in some way part of a supply line. No tear to pour. No, is it actually no solace to seek? I feel like something else. This is interesting. So I don't think it's an accident that this guy looks a little bit like Skybrows. But I don't think this is Skybrows. To be blunt, I don't think this is Skybrows. But I do think it looks a little bit like him on purpose. This is the person who I was saying earlier, I was wondering if that text at the beginning was a missive to this guy, because it seems to me that this guy was sent by the Red Veil once the Red Veil discovered her existence. And if I'm right about that, that means that there is a department or an organization in the Red Veil that monitors the other worlds around it for people like her. Great heroes who lost everything and don't have anywhere to go, don't know where to turn, what to do. And so the Red Veil actively seeks these people out to gather them inside the Red Veil. Another reason I kind of feel like this is pointing towards Skybrows is we have the white dragon in the back, which looks very similar to his based basilisk. Oh, what did that just say? Your piece is built on my pain. I'm trying to make sure I understood that. No solace to seek, no lord to save, no bells to ring. No peace you say. Oh, it's either our greatness or our great peace. I'm not sure which. I don't think the ECC is getting these words right. But I could see either our great peace or our greatness. Yeah, it's built on my pain, because without that loss, this wouldn't have happened. My family's pain. Also, can I say for a second, like, I don't think Lady Wasabi is singing this. I think this is an AI voice. But just that, like, it has gone from like a really, really musical tone to just a raw, my family's pain! Like, almost like yelling, screaming at you, like, screw the music, screw being in melody, I don't care, this hurts. My family's pain is your story. I feel a little called out by that one, because I think a lot of writers, myself included, you put your characters through some shit because it builds character. It does, though. I hate to say it, but nobody likes a story about a normal person who lived a normal, happy life and nothing ever happened to them. People like stories of people who went through pain and agony, who faced their demons and came out on top. I'm kind of unclear what's happening here, because it's clear that the boatman brought her to this place, I'm not clear on what she's doing here, because we see the boatman again. Maybe, well, you got these floating rocks. Maybe he is leading her somewhere, and we're just not seeing him. Yeah, because see, this is the Red Gate. This leads ostensibly to the Red Veil. And here's the boatman again. This is where I can say I don't think it's eyebrows. It looks distinctly different enough from him to be his own character. But I do think it's inspired greatly by him. Kind of curious what these kanji mean. I don't know how to read kanji, so I don't know what they would mean. I wonder if this just says, like, welcome to the Red Veil or something like that on the sides.
The world is at peace because of my steel now.
The world is at peace because of my steel now. You know, that carries a different weight, too. Because she doesn't say much more now. She says, mark me. I think what's happening here is this is sort of her justification for leaving. The world is at peace by my steel, and rather than rage upon the world I saved, I'm just going to leave it.
Mark me.
Yeah, because you can see the gate in the background here, too.
You have arrived at Red Veil.
For all the heroes who survived, but were never the same. God, it's hard to even say it. This song is so emotional. It does get to me. For all the heroes who survived, but were never the same. Oh yeah, it comes up here. It says, she is Rui of the North. And again, I'll pause it there. I mean, man, it's a beautiful work. It's a beautiful work. I'm I know nobody can see it. I'm sitting here with my hands out in the like Trump pose. It's beautiful. It's incredibly beautiful. But no, I mean it though. Like this is genuinely beautiful. Genuinely beautiful. That's sad. I don't think I cracked in any of the other three, but this one got me to crack. Like, I found it genuinely hard to keep my voice stable. I can see where at the start of the creation of this, I can see where this was in her life. And I imagine that it does feel a lot different coming to it now after she's been accepted by this community. Good God. Lady Wasabi, you're killing me. You're killing me, man. This one was really something. That one like stabbed me in the heart really, really hard. But it's good. It's like a good pain. It's a very well told tale. I enjoy it immensely. Can't wait to see what other character stories we get out of this. Can't wait to see what other heroes we have. There's a lot of characters we saw in the previous videos that I'd be fascinated to see like how they ended up in the Red Veil. Personally, I think the one I'm most fascinated to learn about is the doofy Anubis character. He seems to me like a little more positive, but I imagine he's not there randomly either. So I'm curious to see where he came from. But there are a lot of characters that we're seeing in the previous videos, and this is just one of them. But this was an incredibly beautiful story, very well paced, very well told. The visuals were dead on. Very, very well done. Another absolute banger from Lady Wasabi. Just Keep pumping them out. They're amazing. Can't wait to see the new one she just posted. She just posted one called Stars. I can't wait to see that. So I'll probably record that next week. I usually record these on Saturday or Sunday and then just post them throughout the week. So I'll probably record that one next weekend, and then hopefully I'll be caught up for a little bit. But she's been moving. She's been really moving lately. Well, I think that'll be all for my Curious Scholars. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.